Good morning, Nigeria, and I make you welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Henry Igwebike, and as usual, we would be kicking off today from our newspapers, just to let us know what we have there. Amongst the newspapers, there's the Guardian newspaper, Daily Trust. We have the Vanguard, equally the Punch newspaper. We would see if we can go through all of them if the time permits us. And right after that will be our main conversation for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have joining me via Zoom from Lagos State, Nigeria, is Barrister Tunji Abdul Hamid, Barrister, Law Public Affairs Analyst, to see through all that we have for today. Good morning to you, Barrister, and welcome to Enterprise Morning today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Henry.
Thank you so very much, Barrister. So I would love us to start the day's business with the first daily on our desk. Let's start with the Guardian newspaper for today. Big story, Supreme Court verdict. 19 months after, governors explore gaps in constitution, resist local government autonomy. And we have on the top strip also, federal government nans disagree on abandoned students in Morocco. And we equally have on the top strip also, why I remain in Labour Party after Obi's exit. That's coming from Dati, a former vice president to Peter Obi. We equally have other matters. Malami Court grants interim forfeiture of 57 properties worth 213 billion naira. We equally have on the bottom strip, police, the boss child trafficking syndicates in Anambra rescue 33 girls, and Kaduna farmers seek federal government help over 10.16 billion 2025 loss. New tax laws undermine tax system democracy. NLC warns the federal government. May yet Allah Birom youths differ on latest Plateau attack. Barrister, I'd love us to go to the Supreme Court's verdict. 19 months after, governors explore gaps in constitution, resist local government autonomy. Why is it coming at this time, Barrister, despite the fact that at the time President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was pushing for the autonomy of local government councils? Everyone saw that as a win-win. Why then is governors going against it at this time?
Henry, I have not read that story. When you talk about autonomy, what the president has done is not full autonomy. It has to do with financial autonomy. So I don't know whether they are talking about financial autonomy or they are talking about autonomy generally.
Well, let's base on the financial autonomy, Barrister. Let's base our discussion on the financial autonomy.
If we are looking at the report, if we are looking at the report, we have to understand their stand. Because I've not read the report, so I don't know which particular gap in the constitution they are exploring. I don't know the gap they are talking about. So because I'm not sure there's any gap in the constitution which can be exploited. Even if there's a gap, the Supreme Court has made an order or a judgment to declare that, look, payment due to local government should be paid directly to them. I don't even know why the president will be threatening us. We have to threaten the governors before this is done, because the judgment is clear. It said pay money directly to the local government. So if the money is not still being paid directly to the local government, I will blame the president, and those in the authority are those who are supposed to pay the money. Who are those paying? Are they still paying to the state cover? Why are they not paying to the local government directly as directed by the Supreme Court? So I think that blame is compromise of the system, not because there is a gap in the constitution, but because people are playing politics. Those who are in authority are playing politics with the system. That's why you will say they are exploiting gap. I'm not aware of any gap which say that the money belonging to the local government should still be retained by the governors. I'm not aware of that. The Supreme Court has made a judgment, and the Supreme Court judgment is like the law. Once a judgment is made by the Supreme Court, that is the law, notwithstanding what is in the Constitution, because the Supreme Court or the court is interpreting the law. And the law is what the court say is the law. So if the Supreme Court has said, look, this is my interpretation of Section 162 or Section 160, whatever, of the Constitution, then that is the position. So even if there's a gap, that gap has been covered by that Supreme Court judgment. So I think it's about politics. Because I listened to the president a few weeks ago threatening to impose his might on the state if they are not paid. So that means the president is compromising with them, because I know the payment of the allocation or the due to the local government is not being paid by the governor themselves. It's paid from a particular organs of government, agent of government that is being controlled by the president. So why are those authorities not paying directly to the local government? So for me, it's because we don't have a strong institution. That's why we are talking about governor exploring a gap in the constitution. That's why governor is talking about we are restricting local government autonomy, when the law is clear that local government should be independent to an extent, particularly financially, as stated by the Supreme Court.
Well,
that is my take.
I do not know about this. I stand to be corrected. You are the lawyer here. But there's this part of the Constitution that states that the joint account, that the state government has the authority of having a joint account with the local government to help them manage it. I do not know if that is what they are exploiting at this point. And does the Supreme Court verdict nullify that part of the Constitution?
I've said it. Even if the judgment of the Supreme Court regarding directing the money due to local government to be directly to them has indirectly nullified that particular section. He has made it. He has been overtaken by offense. And like I said, the Supreme Court has the power to interpret the Constitution, and whatever interpretation they give to the Constitution is what the law is. So if they are saying, look, notwithstanding that provision, they see direct. They are aware of that provision when they directed that the money should be paid directly to them. So indirectly, they have nullified that section. But it appears they were looking for direct, clear, express nullification of that. So if you are sincere with ourselves, why must you still hold on to the local government money? Why? Do they say they don't know how to spend their money? Are they saying they don't have account where the money will go to? Why must the governor say they must be the one giving them or holding the money on their behalf or collecting the money on their behalf? And I will not blame the governor, because like I said, this money are not being paid by the governor themselves to their accounts. We have a revenue allocation mobilization committee and the finance ministry that ensure our CBN that ensure that these payments are made. Why are they not complying with the Supreme Court judgments? Why are they still paying the money into the account of the governor? Like I said, it's compromise, political compromise. And that's what we're seeing. And that's what the president confirmed when he said, I'll bring out my might. I'll use my power to enforce the judgment of the Supreme Court. So it's appear they've been compromised. There was no enforcement before now. They are indulging them in the name of politics. And that's all you see. So it's not the constitutional problem. It's individual problem. It's a systematic system. Our institution is not working the way it should work. Our system is not working the way it should work. So it's a systematic problem, not a constitutional problem. Okay. Because this has to do with operation of constitution.
All right, beautiful. So, Barrister, let's move to the Punch newspaper. Also, we have on the top strip, why Abure Labour Party faction is not recognized. INEC. Wow. If this is coming from INEC, then why is Abure still fielding himself as if he is the Labour Party national chairman, Barrister?
Abure feeding himself. I can tomorrow declare myself as a Labour Party chairman, and I can be fully myself in that regard. The point is whether or not
is that permitted, Barrister? But don't you think that's a defamation of the party itself?
If I'm a member of the party of Labour Party, and I'm contending that I'm the chairman because of certain things or certain, there are cases in court.
Yes.
Wherein Abure is challenging is that he still remain the what's it called, the chairman of Labour Party. So if he's lying on that and it's doing, so it is for him to lie on that. It is for the INEC, another authority, to recognize him So Abure, and that's why you see people leaving the Labour Party, and Obi and Co. I believe that's one of the reasons why they left the party to another party, because they believe that the way Labour Party is now is factionalized. We have Nanaji Sambo, or I can't remember the other name.
Yes,
sorry.
Usman, yeah.
And people are claiming that Abure also claiming, and that is it. So Abure is laying claim to it. Yeah, it is for him to lay claim. It is for the INEC to look at the court order or the judgment of the court that are available to determine whether or not it will be recognized. So if maybe probably the court order that is with INEC does not show that Abure is the chairman, so in that regard they may not recognize him. But unfortunately, the Supreme Court has taken decision in that regard, and the Supreme Court did not do enough to clearly determine that case, just like what they did in the case of River State. You know, they declined jurisdiction regarding that Abure case, saying that it's an internal affair and it should be resolved internally. They did not go further to determine the merit of the case, just like they did in the River case. That apparently because they know that, look, once you say you don't have jurisdiction, whatever you say thereafter does not hold water. So the matter was not decided on the merits. It was thrown out on basis of lack of jurisdiction. And so since there is no jurisdiction, no decision has been taken in that regard. What the Supreme Court said is that we don't have jurisdiction. So the idea of go back to your party and settle the matter is an obiter, which may not be binding, in my opinion, because the court has said before that statement was made that we don't have jurisdiction to entertain this matter because it's an internal affair of the party. So probably because of that, Abure is holding on to that fact that, look, this matter has not been decided by the Supreme Court. So and therefore, I am still the chairman. So the issue is still pending or lingering somewhere or hanging somewhere, because the Supreme Court has refused to clearly lead it to rest.
Yes, but Barrister, I am very sorry to state this. I know this is your area and you are part of this jurisdiction, but don't you think the Supreme Court are making so much delaying lots of verdict, and that is hurting our democracy to some extent? Don't you think the Supreme Court at some point should be checked? Because we've seen lots of things they have made possible that are not in sympathical with the generality of Nigerians, or verdict they have allowed to work that we can see clearly, and people like you have equally disputed such verdict by the Supreme Court. So the question is Supreme Court part of the problems that we have with our democracy in Nigeria?
I will not say they are part of the problem, or I will not say they are not part of the problem. Both, I will not say they are part, or I will not say they are not part, because they are part of Nigeria. Nigeria generally has problems. So, and every institution, all institutions are not working the way they should work. So, if in your opinion, the Supreme Court is not working the way it should work, probably you may hold that opinion that they are part of the problems. What I believe, that I will not agree that Supreme Court. What did you say the other time regarding Supreme Court? You said something that I disagree with, that is escaping my head now, regarding the fact that, look, the Supreme Court decide not to. The Supreme Court is not expected to pander to the interests of the people, because you said people are not happy about it. The Supreme Court is not supposed to give decision that will make people happy. What the Supreme Court is to do is to give decision in line with the law and public policy. So if the law says this,
but is the law not
people
made
are thinking
for the
otherwise?
people? Barrister, sorry, but is the law not made for the people? Or is it the people? How is it placed? The law is made for the people. So if a law is not making the people excited and happy, of what use then is that law?
The question is that, how do you determine people who are not happy? And what you are saying, that some people in Nigeria are not happy. Who conducted what's it called? The statistics, who gave the statistics? How do you determine that the judgment is not in line with the interests of the Nigerians?
So let's
you say people who are
the River State, Barrister.
People like me, I have my reservations.
Let's take the example of Rivers State, for example. We all know that the state of emergency was not supposed to be so. It was the PDP governors, 12 of them came together and said they weren't excited, and they filed the case. It got to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court delayed it for close to 6-7 months before they passed the verdict, stating that the president has the right to declare a state of emergency wherever he feels like. Now, the question is, that law, is it not made for the people, and Nigerians are not happy? And that is the fact.
I just explained to you that Supreme Court lumped things together, and they did not. There was no decision in that case. That Rivers State, there was no decision. They did not say. What they did was an obiter. Supreme Court clearly said they lacked jurisdiction because they said those who came to court have no power to come to approach the court. So when you don't have jurisdiction, you can't make an order that will be binding. So what the Supreme Court said was just an obiter. And that's why the confusion is being created. Supreme Court has not said the president has the power. That's their opinion, as far as I'm concerned. But being the Supreme Court, the opinion of the judges of the Supreme Court is very important, is weighty and important. And people will have to respect it to an extent. That's why people are thinking they've said so. No, technically, they said they have no jurisdiction. So ordinarily they should stop at that end. They should not go further. But they later express further opinion, stating this is this and that. As far as I'm concerned, if you are still going by our law, that will be classified as an obiter. An obiter should not be taken as the judgment of the courts. And I'm also aware that when the court says they don't have jurisdiction, that court cannot make any order that will be binding in that case. So if you are saying, you see, like I said, let me explain clearly again. When I say Supreme Court is not under obligation to make decisions that will be in the interest of the people. If it's in the interest of the law, who made the law? Is it not the people? If that's what the law says, and what the interpreter is what the law is in their understanding of what the law says. Are they not interpreting the what people are saying? The law are made by the people. The National Assembly makes the law. They say as assemblies make the law. And those people who are the State Assembly and the National Assembly, are they not representative of the people? So you cannot say they are acting contrary to the interest of the people. Who determines that? Who determines that? Did you see how many people that they are complaining? How many of them have read the file to know what is before the court? Yes, you can have the fact that you have reservation against the judgment of the court does not mean the court has not done its job, or the court is biased, or does not mean you are saying the court is as compromised. No, you have your own reservation. You can raise it. You know, because we don't see issue the same way. Maybe probably the way they are seeing it is not, and that was why you see even the Supreme Court judgment, whenever the Court of Appeal, there's what they call dissenting judgments, where you see three people come together, and two will say this and one will say this, or you even see all of them say different things. And similar little to Supreme Court, where you have about 7 or 5 justices sitting. These people will say, some of them will say this, the other one will say that, because we are all human beings. We can't see issue the same way. So if you are saying they are not acting in the interest of the people, you will not be correct. They are doing what they think the law says, and that is their own understanding or interpretation of the law. And by virtue of our system, they are vested with that authority. And whether they are right or wrong, whatever they say is the law until set aside. Unfortunately, as far as Supreme Court is concerned, there is no other court that can set it aside. So that the pronouncement is final. Well, so I will not agree that Supreme Court is creating problem. It's not acting in the interest of the masses or the people. No, I will not agree. You may say people are not satisfied or are not happy. Some people, not general. You can't say, because if you can give me statistics that we have conducted this whatever interview, or we'll do, and the 10 people or 50 people said they've read the judgment, they've read the file, and they say they have a different opinion. Then the people who just go through the headline, or who just listen to what people like us are saying and make and start condemning the Supreme Court will not be right. They will not be right, because cases in court are not determined by what we see in public. Are determined what their cases in court are determined based on facts before the court. And how do you see the file before the court? You have to go through the file. So if you have not seen the file, you have not gone through the cases, how can you condemn or say they are not acting in line with the interests of the masses? I will not agree with that.
You are making me to feel like everything the Supreme Court had done have all been perfect, because everything is in line with what the law says, and they work with what the law says, and the fact that is before them. You are making me feel like all the things they have done, you know, over the years has been perfect.
Henry, you are getting me wrong. I said the justices at the Supreme Court, they are also human beings. They may not be correct, they may be wrong, they may not be right. But what I'm saying, by our system, by our law, whatever they say, whether right or wrong, is correct and is final. So in that regard, you cannot blame them, because they are first time without authority. They make pronouncements based on their own understanding of the law, except you have other evidence to show that, look, this judgment was made because somebody influenced them, or because something happened behind the scene. Except you can give that evidence, or you have a clear evidence to that effect. Empirical one, for that matter. Let me borrow somebody's adjective. If you have empirical evidence, you can now say that. But like I said, what?
Are you still there, Barrister? All right, I think we've lost Barrister for a bit here. He was speaking to the fact that all the things that the Supreme Court has said, you know, most of them might be right, some might not be. He said they are human beings and they are prone to mistakes and all. But I just sincerely hope that on this Abure's case, that it will not be done the other way around, because Abure had served.
There was a glitch.
Okay.
There was a glitch.
All right.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah. There was a glitch.
Yeah.
Normal Nigerian factor.
Well. Yes. So, yes, but Barrister, just before we wind up on this particular matter, I just sincerely hope that technicalities will not be a factor by the time this goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court declares that Abure is still the substantial chairman of the Labour Party, despite the fact that he has overstayed his welcome. He has served the complete term that he was supposed to do with the Labour Party, and INEC is saying they are not, or he is not recognized.
Abure is not in agreement with that your position. He is saying he has been re-elected. He's not in that is your own. That is the position of those who say Abure is not the chairman. Abure is saying I have been re-elected by the party at the Congress, and other people are saying no, that Congress does not have the support of other members of the party. That was illegal Congress, and that was why they went to court. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court did not attend to it on the merit. If there will be any case now, Supreme Court cannot again come back and look at that case, except they will file another case at the High Court. And the court has said, but since we already know the position of the court, he said, look, internal affair of the matter, it should have to do with who is the leader, who is not the leader, should not be entertained by the court. So it's unfortunate they will not be able to. The court will not be able to resolve it as it is today.
All right.
That's the unfortunate part of it.
All right.
So it is not the same party to go on their own to go and resolve it. But the problem is that who are the party? How they agree when we have difficulty, and that's why I'm of opinion. And I said earlier that even when the Supreme Court believe that, look, this is an internal affair, the Supreme Court should look at the merits of the case and determine it, since it's already before the court.
All right.
Because if you don't determine it and you ask them to go and resolve it by themselves, how would they agree? They do not agree. That was why they were in court. So you now say, no, you must go out, you have to go and find a way around it. Force yourself to agree. How? It's not possible. You can only wake people who are sleeping. Anybody that's pretending to be sleeping, you can't wake them. Some of them are not, they know what they are doing. They have a target, they have an objective. So there's nothing you can say that will give them that will say, okay, I have agreed, let's settle, or we are settling. Except I know some people who, once they are fighting you, the only thing that can settle the matter is to align with their own interest. If you don't align with their interest, nothing will happen. No matter what you do. That's what is happening in PDP.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Nwite was bent on having his way. That's why PDP is where it is today. So if you are not saying people should go and settle, and how would they settle? How? When they are not even talking to themselves, when they are everybody proving I am right, you are wrong, you are right, I'm wrong. Everybody is proving I have power, you have power. So and that's why I said I was expecting the Supreme Court, even though it will abuse them or tongue lash them, to have determined the matter and say, look, based on the fact before me here, this convention or this congress or whatever was not properly done.
All right.
Or Abure is not the or is the chairman, or this is happened. So that will be settled. But the way it is now, I tell you, Abure can lay claim to the chairmanship. Other people can lay claim to it because the court has said, go and settle it. So if they are not able to settle it, they will continue where they are.
Well, that's very.
And that's what you are seeing.
That's very so unfortunate, Barrister. Our democracy today and the party politics we play is making us look like we just achieved independence last week. This would have been experienced in the First Republic, and we would have trashed it at that time. And by now, what we should be doing is playing real politics, and where ideology is the case. But we still play politics like we are very newbies in the business and the system. Sorry.
Henry, are you talking about ideology and politics?
Yeah, that's what
I'm saying.
I said we are supposed to have gone past this level of playing politics of factions. I do not know if this was experienced in the First Republic.
Henry, as we speak, IFA State House Assembly are moving the motion for impeachment of the government. They are taking steps to impeach the governor. Not because the governor has done anything against the state, but probably because they believe that the governor has acted contrary to the interest of their leader. That is the kind of country we are. It's not driven by ideology. It's driven by interest of individuals who are more powerful than the country or the state. And that's why you see we don't have a political party. We have a special vehicle purposes. That's why you see somebody can be in APC this morning, and in the night it will be PDP, and even the next morning it will be ADC. And that's why you can see people somebody will be in PDP, and he will still be running, controlling who will become a candidate in APC. So people will be in APC and they are in the PDP, and he will still be a member of another party underground. So because it's not driven by ideology, because if it's driven by ideology, everybody will know that I'm in PDP because of this. I'm in APC because it will not be good. There's no way I can fit into that political party. It's not so. As we speak, they are taking process, and they are moving a motion or taking steps to impeach, to start impeachment process against the government.
All right, let's see how that works, though, because this is I'm happy and excited that they are all in the same party. I would love to know if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would allow that happen as the 001 of the APC. I do not know how that will play out, but let's see how it goes, though. Just to let you know, people, that Barrister would be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. 213 billion naira assets seized as court orders interim forfeiture of Malami-linked properties. That in a bit. Enterprise Morning it is. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.